Greetings. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Steve Deace Show, live and on demand on BlazeTV, radio, and podcast. It's the conclusion of Superhero T-Shirt Week, which is just a thing I started to have an excuse to wear superhero T-shirts in the summertime. And, of course, we are wearing the logo of the movie that comes out today, and I'm going to see it tonight with my son, which I'm very excited about, although I'm very nervous about the movie, just because I've been to the movies a few times in the last few years, which means I'm just nervous based on the kind of movies they're making these days. Nevertheless, I'm ready to be hurt again. That's why I'm joined every day by Todd Erzen, because he's here to hurt me, and you, and everyone else. And then there's Aaron McIntire as well. And then what to my wandering eye does appear? That's Jill. Jill's alive? Jill is here?
Alive and well.
There she is. Back on the Deace Group. Maybe I'm already feeling more optimistic already about Superman. It's my day. It's my day. Jill's here. Been waiting a year for this movie. It's my day. So Jill will join us here in a moment for the Deace Group. First, though, a word about our friends over at Relief Factor. If you're struggling from too much chronic pain in the body, that's usually because you have too much inflammation in your joints. That's where you want to talk to our friends over at Relief Factor. Now, no guarantees, but over the years, over 1 million people have tried the 3-week quick start from Relief Factor. About 70% of them saw such great results in the 3 weeks or less, they ended up hanging around and sticking with the product long term. It's drug-free, so no side effects, but it's created by physicians who can prescribe drugs because they want to go after the inflammation causing your pain in the first place. So if you want to give it a shot, 70% odds for just $20 for 3 weeks. Those are pretty good odds to see if you don't see a difference in your pain in 3 weeks or less when you go to ReliefFactor.com. Get the 3-week quick start for just $20 at ReliefFactor.com. All right, Feedback Friday coming your way in the next hour of the show, but let's begin as we always do on a Friday. It's time for the Deace Group. Are you ready for this, Jill? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, let's go.
It's been a slow news year, Steve.
Yes, not much is going on. In fact, right now, even. Yes, indeed. Your weekly look at the week that was begins, as it always does, with issue 1. Bleep. Lord Nefarious says.
NEA, remember who you are and hold your head high. You are brave. You are powerful. You are the NEA. Hold your head high. Hold your head high. NEA. Oh!
Before y'all start leaving hate comments on my page about, oh, these are just kids and they don't know no better, the parents of these children who are choosing, and it is a choice in 2025, it is definitely a freaking choice to go into East Texas and to make a all-white enclave exclusionary just for white people, with all the black people in East Texas, with all the Hispanic people in East Texas. Somehow, some way, you have carved out an all-white, whites-only enclave in East Texas for your white children. Yeah, I have a problem with that.
So, are we not paying attention to majority of the videos that's being shared about this flood and the certain that's on the videos?
Look, we are a welcoming city ordinance. Our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
They need to leave, and they need to leave right now.
Normalizing a government agency disappearing people. We are normalizing, we're talking about it like it's no big deal that they are kidnapping people and transporting them to concentration camps, both domestic and foreign.
We support our people. You know, we love our immigrants. Yes, Superman is an immigrant. And yes, the people that we support in this country are immigrants, and if you don't like that, then you're not American.
It comes out of an understanding that policing is something that does not create safety. And what we need to do is reinvest into things that are proven indicators and creators of safety.
All right, there you go, Jill. We start with you. It has been too long, sister. What was the most wicked and depraved thing that you just saw, and why?
Well, it's been too long because it's Aaron McIntyre's fault because he puts stuff like that in Bleep Lord Nefarious Says. I hate coming on here for that segment alone because I was living a good week, Steve, and then I see this from Aaron. But, you know, like the racism from the Camp Mystic stuff has been overwhelming. It's disgusting. But I'm still going to go with all of the immigration stuff that we're seeing, right, where we have the mass deportations that the American people had voted for, right? This was Trump's number one issue. You knew this was coming. And now that we're actually going through and doing the ICE raids in Los Angeles, well, you see there, we're actually disappearing people. We're putting them into concentration camps, is what these people on the left would have you believe. No, they broke laws. They entered our country illegally. The American people went through and voted to try and reinstate the laws that, hey, by the way, we are a country. If you're not a citizen of this country, we don't owe you welfare. We don't owe you all of the extra stuff that you're going to go get for free from the American taxpayers. No, actually, what we're going to do this time is we're even going to be generous enough to maybe even give you a few $1,000s if you just self-deport on your own. We're still going to do that. And how do they portray it in the media? I'm surprised the AOC has not been crying there in Los Angeles for all of the ICE deportations that have been going on there so far. But we say that it's at a concentration camp. Steve, I've been to Auschwitz. It looks nothing like what they're doing right now in Los Angeles. What they're doing right now in Los Angeles, we all knew was coming. The American people voted for it. That's why it's my worst of the week.
We missed her. That was dynamite. That was dynamite, Sister Todd. I dare you to do better.
I'll go right to the top. We've been told my whole adult lifetime various versions of separation of church and state, no prayer in schools, can't even do Christmas. It's winter solstice, but you got to do all the other whatever. What's the one that was made up with the wood chipper one? Steve? Kwanzaa. Thank you.
Yep. You had me at wood chipper.
And so this is where we were going to go because this nation was founded to be a secular state that was undeniably fair to all peoples. And now you get the truth. That's a high priestess. That's a witch right there. That's a religious shaman who is saying, NEA. The public schools aren't public secular schools. They are. That was the demon statue right there. The Iowa Capitol. That's all your public schools right there. And that's what she wants all your teachers to be. And the amazing thing about it is, apparently for most of the men in America, if that woman right there, you laugh all you want to, but if that woman says, yeah, you're damn right, we're going to trans the kids and they're going to beat your daughter in the track meet, you're going to go and you're going to clap for it. That's my worst of the week.
Aaron.
If you chant NEA in front of a mirror with the lights turned off, does Randy Weingarten appear right behind you?
Nice.
Let's go to
Very nice.
the TikToker. I believe that woman has been fired from her job now.
That's a shame. That's too bad.
Yeah. Just a crying shame.
Was it that insincere? I mean, I was going for
great.
it. Was it? Okay, so I was really going for it. I was.
I love that.
Just
right,
the impulse as they're pulling little girls from the rubble and wreckage. I read a story about two young girls, I think one 13, one 8, sisters, who passed away in the floods, and they found their bodies and they were holding hands. It's just a tragedy. The impulse to immediately turn that into race baiting is cancerous.
Just idolatry, man.
It's idolatry of the nth degree, and it's just toxic. I feel like just exposing yourself, even though you're opposed to it and you actively speak out against it, just exposing yourself to that, which I just exposed all of you to it, is just not healthy. Not healthy. But it does need to be exposed. It does need to be called out. It does need to be excised, God willing, sooner rather than later.
Can I add something to your montage?
Sure.
I'm watching, just as we're recording this, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. So you and I were going back and forth yesterday on cloud seeding, geoengineering, all that stuff, right? Okay. Concerned Americans have urgent and important questions about geoengineering and contrails. The American public deserves honesty and transparency from their government when seeking answers. Then he proceeds to go to lay out how they're going to provide said honesty and transparency, and here are the very first steps. Can someone give me a real good reason why? In fact, since we've been talking about this amongst ourselves all week, Jill, I'm going to ask you this question. Can someone give me can you give me a real good reason why Pam Bondi can't stand up there about Epstein, about Matthew Cruikshank, about the FBI heroic whistleblowers like our friend, Steve Friend? Why is she not able to stand up there and do the exact same thing Lee Zeldin is doing as we are speaking right now from an EPA perspective? Why can't she do it?
This is not a great week for government transparency. We look at this, and everybody was shocked on Sunday night when that came out. Okay, wait, what do you mean? Is this real? Is this a real DOJ FBI memo? Like this is actually happening? We decided that we're not going to go through and actually get to the bottom of what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. So when it comes to Pam Bondi, like there's no good answer here, right? They go through and tell you, oh, we are going to be the most transparent administration. Everybody says that. And then you get something hard and something difficult that you don't want to deal with. So how are you going to go through and play this off? Well, you then have the series of the cabinet meeting, and Donald Trump said, oh, we're still going to go through and we're still talking about this. And he's like looking around the room, and it's just odd behavior from a government that is trying to go out there and message that they're going to do what Lee Zeldin is saying that he's going to do here. The only reason that you're not getting to any answers from this is because you would have to think, Steve, that it would just implicate absolutely too many people, too many countries, too many governments, too many whatever, insert in this blank right here. Too many people would be affected. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to say nothing happened. Move on.
She's preaching what I've been laying on. I finally found a way to maybe communicate what I've been communicating to you the last couple of days. Because what's behind this could actually be the start of World War III. Remember how chill at the end of Captain America Civil War, they had that fight out on the tarmac, but they were just kind of working. It was like a hockey fight, and they're coming together, and they're really going to, Captain America and Iron Man put their stuff aside, and then, what's his face? Zemo rolls tape, and he sees who killed his mom, and all hell breaks loose. I just think that's what could be on the other end of whatever we found out. And I'm not saying it's not worth finding out, but we have to consider those things.
Let's get to the exit question. On a scale of 1 to 10, look at the look on Jill's face. I mean,
I'm ready.
Mr. Savage saw that look many Christmases when little Jill came down the stairs, on Christmas morn. I mean, just the anticipation. I mean, she is lit up there like jolly holiday lights. Look at this. This is crazy. All right.
I really am, though. But it's real.
I'm not even embellishing in the slightest. Yes.
I know.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the odds, our beloved colleague and sister Jill Savage here has to worry about being sexually harassed by Lindsey Graham, and 10 being the odds, Lindsey Graham is more honest about his sexuality than Pam Bondi is the Epstein files. Rank this week's level of total depravity, Todd.
10.
Jill.
10. Ooh, Epstein.
Aaron.
9.
I didn't have a joke in me this week. I'm too angry, Jill.
Yeah.
I'm too angry.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next couple of issues. We're past the halfway point of the year now, right? And it's been a moon or two since Jill's been able to join us for the Deace Group. So I thought we should do this maybe kind of roundtable style and look back, because we were kidding about this at the start. A ton has happened already, right? So let's get to issue 2 here. All right, the best of 2025 thus far. Let's go around the horn here. Aaron, I'll start with you. Let's go around the horn here, one by one. Rank your top 3 best stories of 2025 thus far and why. So we'll do them one at a time. Aaron, go.
Do you want them in any particular order?
Any particular order you want to throw them out there.
Let's go with this, because I think it's been understated, the reverberations of this story on a broader scale, and I'm surprised there hasn't been more broad discourse about what our military carried out on Operation Midnight Hammer. That wasn't just an effort, I don't believe, to get rid of nuclear material from Iran and to set their nuclear program back by years, we think. That was a message to the rest of the world, any would-be adversaries. If we decided to, there's some guys sitting around in Missouri who will wake up at the drop of a hat, fly what amounts to be the entire circumference of the globe, round trip, drop bombs on whatever you have buried. And by the way, we know what you have buried. We know where it's buried. And then they'll turn around and go back home and sleep the next night. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. And you won't even know it's happening until the bombs get dropped. That's what I think really went down with Operation Midnight Hammer. That was scary effective. I think it's even more impressive than what the Israelis carried out on the first night of the 12 Days War. So that's my number 1 story.
That's a pretty good story. That was pretty badass too. Todd?
Won't be a surprise, but everything from the beginning with the photo op and all the little girls around the table with the executive order on Save Girls Sports to just now with UPenn bending the knee, and that's where the whole Riley Gaines thing got started. My family has had a ton of skin in this game. Ainsley was on the show not too long ago. She and her sister had to bear the cost of doing the right thing in this thing, but they've all learned, and a lot of other girls have learned, that there's good in this world and it is worth fighting for.
Amen to that. Jill?
So in no particular order, but since Todd just went there, one of my best stories of the year is that Simone Biles had to delete her X account because Riley Gaines owned her. Now, if you remember, and we all do, Simone Biles decided that she was just going to stop participating in the Olympic Games to protect her mental health. Well, Simone thought that things were still back in that time frame, and she just got a very rude awakening that things have changed, much to what Todd just said there. Donald Trump has gone through, his administration has made sure that people know that men are not going to be participating in women's sports. And Simone Biles tried to put that out on X, and she goes, oh, wait, I was just kidding, and then eventually just had to delete her account altogether. I think that is a huge win and a true cultural shift for the country.
That was a big win, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I mean, for her to delete her account and everything else, that also demonstrates the difference of the ecosystem on X since Elon Musk took it over compared to now. Because what you used to see, like we didn't get to it from Aaron's montage, but you used to see people like Sean Gunn say stupid crap like what he was saying, okay, before the Superman premiere. They used to say that to get the adoring reactions of the throngs of the social media clicks and engagements from the previous ownership and algorithm of X, right? Well, they're all hanging out with the pedophiles on Blue Sky now, all right? So the new algorithm, Simone Biles ran face first in the clenched fist of that algorithm, and her advisors are like, shut that puppy down, all right? I need to, real quick, before we get you guys a second story, I need to apologize, according to Grok, I need to apologize to at least 5,000 people in America. I just looked it up. There are at least 5,000 people in America whose name is Matthew Cruikshank. All right. And I have smeared you all the last 2 days as the attempted assassin of Donald Trump. So
It's Thomas Crooks.
Thomas Crooks.
It was Thomas Matthew Crooks, so you weren't.
Yes.
Yeah, it was his middle name, so I mean,
Yes.
it's close.
But if you're one of the 5,000 plus people named Matthew Crookshank in America, according to Grok, pour one out. Mea culpa, maxima mea culpa. All right, Aaron, your second story. Go ahead.
So it's kind of along the lines of what Todd was saying, and I think it's more emblematic of a broader trend. But my second biggest story is saving girls' sports. In the battle, I want to not to say that this battle or war is over by any stretch of the imagination, but what you're seeing on multiple fronts, this being among the most prominent fronts, is a level of cultural engagement, but not just engagement, but confrontation you would have never seen at the likes of the Mitt Romney-esque Republican Party. Not eating a chicken sandwich seems like a fever dream and a distant memory. Amen? And that's a good thing. But that level of engagement, that level of confrontation, if anything, it can be dialed up even more. But I'm glad to see there's some, because we would have never gotten that out of the old Republican Party. Mike Pence was out there talking about how, the Republican Party really hasn't changed that much. By and large, he's probably correct, but not at the very top. And headship and leadership matters. And I think it's all because of who is in the White House right now. So this has to be instructive. If you want to win, you have to lead on the cultural issues.
You guys are just making me mad about the Epstein thing this week all over again with this, right? You just reminded me how on point. You're just reminding me how effective, largely on point this thing has been on lockdown for the first 7 months. And then there's this BS they're trying to peddle down our throats. You're just making me mad all over again by reminding me that we very well know that this administration is way better than the cockamamie bull they're trying to feed us over the last 4 days. Todd, your number two story.
That I was right all along, going back to 2016 or 2017. I don't remember when the ball really got going on this, about tariffs. Told you, everybody, even on the right, no, there's debunked old ancient economics. It's not even about economics.
To be fair, I didn't panic and debunk it this time. I did back in 2016, but I did not do that.
It's not about economics. Trump wants the same free markets you do, but he wasn't falling for the lie that you all did. He said we need a little psychological warfare, a little old-fashioned game of chicken. And look. Here we go.
Did the sun rise?
Yes.
Has it kept rising?
No, it's more than rising. It's hotter and sunnier. It's a summer of 69, for God's sakes. It's that he just blew up that lie, just like he blew up the media lie back in the day and blew them up. I mean, it was nonsense. He's winning on this. It's clear. And it's because he just punked him. He just said, no, I'm not accepting your stupid lies anymore.
Jill. You're number
We're going
two.
to forget about what happened this week, and I'm going to go back and just say Trump's first 100 days, because that time, you guys, that was so good. We had wins all the time, right? The unprecedented border security that went through. We're starting to dismantle the Department of Education. Hello. We've been asking for that forever. And then just the shock and awe of all the executive orders that we got. It was so hard to keep up with on my show. Like every single night we're like, oh my gosh, how are we even going to fit this in the show? There were so many good things. And since Steve is wearing the Superman shirt today, Steve got to go to the White House and interview Superman. That all happened because of Trump's first 100 days. So how can you not love that?
That's a good point. I did get to go You're just pissing me off again, okay? They let me go to the White House. They let me interview Superman. I got to eat in the White House mess. If that was an attempt to butter me up for the crap of the last few days, it didn't work. All right, story number 3, Aaron.
Well, I'm tracking with Todd again because my story number 3 is Panikins taking L's left and right. Very, very quiet now. I got borderline death threats for just pointing out, hey, maybe we should just let this play out just a little bit. Let's see how this goes. And I tried to engage with people who are very skeptical about tariffs. I tried to engage with them in good faith. Was not returned. That good faith was not returned. I'm sure it will surprise you to learn.
I am stunned. Yes.
But if you take a step back and look at the big picture, who's holding the cards here? Who was holding the cards here the whole time? That we could pull back from tariffs if we needed to, if it was clear that it was going to cause undue damage. And now we're setting like daily all-time highs in the stock market. Not that that's the indicator of the economy, which I pointed out then, but it was their indicator. It was the Panikins indicator. They're very, very silent now that we're setting all-time highs. We are attempting to reshore, trillions upon trillions of dollars worth of manufacturing in critical industries. And as soon as Jerome Powell either exits stage right or stage left, whichever one it is, that's going to kick things into high gear, I have to think, on an economic front. So again, Panikins taking the L. It's just in general never ever a good thing to just throw your hands up, light yourself on fire rhetorically, and panic about anything. And the first few days, especially that weekend after Liberation Day, it was like COVID all over again if you were on X. And I'm just embarrassed for you if you were one of those Panikins.
Man, that was cash money. You're right about what X was like in the aftermath of that. And I love the fact that you said, listen, I'm not the one who is out there preaching the gospel of the stock market being the ultimate barometer of the economy, but you people are. So where have you been now since this thing is massively rebounded and is making gains, right? Where's all the panicking at then? Where's the if we're going to criticize Trump when the market goes down, there's no praise when the market goes up, right? So that's well done, Aaron. I enjoyed it. Todd?
The fact, the big beautiful bill is understandably controversial. That's okay. But the fact that within it, ICE is now funded to the tune of a greater expenditures than all but 2 militaries in the United States, in the country. Damn, man, that's sexy. Now, I hope it doesn't stay that way, but we've got a job to do. It must be done. Within that montage, you have multiple reasons right there. Mayors who had no problem saying sanctuary city for us all. Okay, buckle up, have fun with that, man. I'm so not used to actually doing the thing.
I like that little Freudian slip there with the sanctuary city.
Yeah, you noticed that too.
What did I say?
It's all right. Jill, go ahead.
This one's a little inside baseball, but since everybody's pissed at the government this week, I'm going to go with Tulsi Gabbard at ODNI, specifically a task force that she has put together. It's called the DIG, the Directors Initiative Group. So if you're pissed about the government, know that there is a group out there that they have put together where they say, okay, we're going to take one person from this agency, another person from this agency, and they put them all together. And their job is specifically to go after things like the Russia hoax, Hunter Biden, election integrity, the fact that is happening, because that if they're going after and looking at, oh crap, what did the intelligence community do? They're going to be pissing off all of the right people, Steve. And I don't think that enough people know that that's happening right now.
That's a good point. I mean, I had heard about it and totally forgot about it. So thank you for bringing that to mind. All right, let's get to our exit question. We've got about 2 minutes here. What story, what positive story just didn't make the cut for you? Aaron?
Man, there's a lot to choose from, but I think one that I was going to go with was right out of the gate. Didn't even let the ink dry, basically, on the inauguration, and we're doing hundreds of executive orders. One that didn't make the cut was flooding the zone. And I think maybe it's not fair, but I think they've kind of made a habit out of that at certain points during this first almost 200 days now. Flooding the zone, making the left's head spin, especially in that first 100 days, in the first week, really. You hit them on so many different fronts, you could tell that they were staggered.
Agreed. Todd?
RFK and vaccines. The thing is so dicey. It's so complicated. Just a couple weeks ago, I said we're not recommending this to children anymore, but today it is approved as an available option, Moderna, for children. The magical power of vaccines it's going to take a while to get through. I just couldn't put it in the top 3 yet.
Jill?
All the DEI rollbacks. It's the first step that we have to take in getting rid of all of the woke identity politics. We hate it. We don't need to deal with it anymore, and we're not going to.
I think if I threw in a sneaky one, it was Trump's inaugural address where they're indoors at the rotunda. Do you guys remember my reaction? Yep. We were doing that live on the show. We were kind of commenting on it in real time. My reaction in real time as they're sitting there in that rotunda, and he is just unloading on them. And itemizing and quantifying their failures to them right to their faces. That was glorious, man. That was glorious. That was therapeutic. It was cathartic. Now give me the files! More in a moment. All right, back here on the Steve Deace Show. Before we get back to the Deace Group, got a couple quick questions for you. Number one, have you considered how your investments might be anathema to your stated belief system? Number two, are your hard-earned investment dollars being used to undermine the values you just voted for in the last election? If you answered yes to one or both of those questions, you need to talk to our friends at Constitution Wealth, because they're going to help you defund from companies directly contradicting your beliefs, your politics, the Word of God, and more. Unlike many other advisors, they can specifically screen investments for your Christian values, ensuring your money supports businesses that honor that which you are honoring. So don't let your wealth unknowingly fund anathema. Take control of your money. Be a good steward. Live up to the parable of the talents. Visit ConstitutionWealth.com/Blaze for a free consultation. That's ConstitutionWealth.com/Blaze for a free consultation. And remember that they're a registered investment advisor. You should review Constitution Wealth's disclosures on their website at ConstitutionWealth.com to understand their services and fees. All investing involves risk, including the risk of loss, sadly. I am a client of the firm. This is a paid endorsement, but my opinions are my own. All right, so we just got done discussing what we think are the best three stories so far of this year. Let's talk about the worst so far this year. And Jill, we're going to start with you. What's number one on your list? Doesn't necessarily have to be ranked number one, but the first one you want to address. The worst thing about 2025 so far.
I mean, let's just get it out of the way. It's this week. It's Epstein. It's everything that we're dealing with, Steve. I don't think that at the end of the year, we're still going to be talking about how terrible this week was. I think that when you just go through and you look and you say, okay, we know we have the deep state, but this is really just the biggest problem, like you guys have been talking about all week. Like hearing stories from the inside, right? Like Steve would call them the little birdies. Like it's not just the Democrats that we're fighting, you guys. It's the uniparty for a reason, right? It's the Republicans that we're still fighting. It's not necessarily just on this Epstein case, but it is just the deep state overall and the things that we're trying to get done. We're trying to save a country here, you guys. We have to go through and fight that deep state because this is the one chance that we get, right? This is what we were all praying for and trying to make sure that we could get the country back on track. Well, we only have 3.5 years now. The time is ticking away so quickly. Each day goes by. We have to start making progress. And it just feels like this week was a huge defeat.
Jill, what do you think of the analysis we've had on this week? That let's say that, you and Todd's theorem that the collateral damage here just has too much geopolitical consequences. And let's say that we would even grant them that accommodation because of a lot of the things we talked about in the first segment. All right. I still think one of the top two reasons people voted Trump in the last election is, and it's a driving ethos of the culture of MAGA, is that he is the disruptive force that will reveal and expose the evil and the corruption in our government, right? So to me, if it can't be Epstein, because there's 7-level collateral damage here we can't even begin to contemplate, then I've said the last couple days on the show, then they're going to have to offer some other high-value target up for justice and or exposure. And no, it can't be, well, we're thinking about Brennan. No, it's going to have to be like cuffs on Brennan, like cuffs on Fauci. Something else of high value has to be. Ed Martin is given a Robert Mueller-like independent counsel probe to go after election fraud and integrity, right? Something with teeth, okay, in order for people to say, hey, I'm still getting that fix, even if the fix is not the source of Epstein that I originally thought it was. That's what we've been saying the last couple days on this. What do you think?
Well, all I wanted for the 4th of July was perp walks, Steve. I didn't get any, but, maybe I need to move that over to my Christmas list now. But I also was putting out there on X, like, press releases aren't enough, right? This Brennan, Comey, okay, cool. It's a press release. Show me the results. I don't care about what you have to say about the other side. I need to start seeing results. That's exactly what we're looking at. What you're saying. This is what MAGA wants. We believed that Donald Trump could go through and be the disruptor. Well, in order to do that, you actually have to put it up, right? We always talk about this, Steve. Sports. We go through scoreboard. I only care about who's in jail. Who did you actually get a conviction on? What did you do to get our streets safer, to make sure that all the bad guys are in prison where they should be. Because at this point in time, I feel like the American people, right? It goes back before 2008, but like 2008 was a big turning point in that no one went to jail after we had the global financial crisis and everybody's just like, oh, okay, we can move on from here. Well, no, we need to make sure that the bad guys pay for what they do, or all the bad things will continue.
Every single guy under the age of 50 in this audience was like, that was the hottest rant I've ever seen. Just so you know, this is our sister. And if you're going to step up to the plate with bad intentions, we will find you. And if your name's Paul, we're definitely watching. All right? Todd, go ahead.
I'm Epstein done. Jill answered for me, probably for all of us. No particular order, but the loss of Kim Reynolds as governor of Iowa. We need her for another 4 years, and Iowa has been a bright shining light in the darkness since 2020 for a lot of different reasons, and she's a big reason why. And Steve's told you on a very personal level how it's caused him to rethink a lot of things. We could have used her for 4 more years.
Aaron, amen to that.
To me, it's pretty easy, and this even beats Epstein in my book. It's the judicial supremacy. It makes me so angry.
Amen and amen.
On a personal level, and I take it personally. And this is, it's unhealthy, the level of rage that this evokes in me.
No, it's not.
But it just, the reason why I take it personally is because I think the vast majority of these, and I keep using this word, somebody asked me to stop using this word, but I think it's an appropriate word, pissant. These pissant judges.
Let it rise, yes.
Are not anywhere close to the level of impressive that they think they are. They do have some smart facts memorized from law school. I'm sure they do. But they are anointing themselves king, emperor, and gods over and over and over again. I don't care who you are. There's no person on this planet that is nearly that impressive. But they wake up in the morning, they look at themselves in the mirror just like the journalist does and say, you're a Navy SEAL. You're a defender of democracy. You're God, basically. These people are just a plague. They need to be smacked down. Yes, the Supreme Court did smack down universal injunctions, but they didn't address the question of what's the other one that's coming up now? Where a bunch of people can get together for a lawsuit. What is that called? Class actions.
Yeah.
They didn't stop that, so now judges are just granting all of these class action lawsuits. It's just unbelievable. Continuing messages need. Let's just commenzo festival. Let's the messages being sent commence. That needs to happen over and over again. I don't care who or where it comes from, and I'm talking about in a power sense, not in a violent sense. For those of you listening at Media Matters,
I feel like I just listened to Aaron read aloud Nehemiah chapter 15. But there is no chapter 15 of Nehemiah, so he just put his postscript on it. All right, Todd, go ahead. Or actually, Jill, back to you. Number 2, go.
I love that Aaron just went all Michael Jordan, and I took that personally. So with that in mind, I will move on to what we take personally here, especially I know you guys will be involved in this because it's our friend and others, the FBI whistleblowers not getting back in.
Yes.
I take that personally. I look at this and say everybody that watches this with Steve Friend, who comes on the show and helps us out with a lot of stuff. Like, you guys, there are people out there that use the FBI whistleblowers to get into the position, into the Trump administration. They used the whistleblowers to get their jobs. And then once they got in, they closed the door behind them and they're like, oh, hey, but thanks. I'm going to have this nice little, payday over here and all the power that comes along with it. But you guys now have character issues. So good luck.
That's a sonnet right there. That's a great follow-up. Amen to every word of that. Todd, go.
The pathological shamelessness of the Jake Tapper book tour.
Oh, gosh.
We were just lied to, and maybe we were a little too trustworthy, but we really tried to do our job.
We should have. I don't know why we didn't see it. We should have saw it.
We should have seen it. And now... the second chapter of that is now Jake is even worse, going full MAGA in the name of going after Epstein.
This segment is
good grief.
This segment is not good for my heart rate and blood pressure. Aaron.
Next up is, it's not really the story in and of itself, but it's emblematic of some much larger and cancerous problem. And that is, there's purported funding of meatball surgery in the big, beautiful bill. That's not really, yes, that is bad, that's evil, that's wicked, if it's true that it's actually in there. I've seen different reports. But it's just emblematic of how broken our Congress, and when I say Congress, what are we actually saying? People. Just how broken people are.
Yep.
Of course, when you look at it from that perspective, it's actually miraculous, nothing short of a miracle, that we were able to fund immigration and customs enforcement to the tune of basically the U.S. Marine Corps via the big, beautiful bill. But still, that entire process just illustrated how broken Congress is, how corrupt Congress is, how captured Congress is, and it's the people who sent them there. So that's another one that sticks out to me.
That's the lodestar right there. Jill, go.
You thought that Lindsey Graham was only going to be mentioned on this show once today. You are wrong. Just this week, President Trump wished Lindsey Graham a happy birthday. But the bad part is he went out and endorsed him for re-election. That is still one of the worst stories of the entire year, because this is, Mr. President, if you're listening, please, we're begging you, stop doing stuff like this. We can't have this. We can't actually go through and save a country if we're not serious about getting these losers, the people, out of Congress that should not be there.
It's not been a good week. Todd?
Yeah, I was, one of my bests was what I was right about. One of my worsts is something I was also right about, because it's just invincible ignorance. People just want to be wrong about it. It's the fact that one of the most common excuses, there's others, that we had to do NIL, and I'm doing my best interpretation here of the voice. We had to do NIL in the transfer portal because there's just too much money. Because you guys, they're labor and it's just too much money. You liars! There's not even close to enough money. This is borne out every day. But no, you're crackheads. There's just too much money.
Was that Todd?
They've already had Big 12 media days, by the way. What the heck?
I'm sorry, Todd. That was righteous in a way that what I'm about to invoke is unrighteous. But when you said, you liars, all I could hear was, how dare you, from Greta Thunberg.
How dare you, sir? All right, has everybody done 3? Did we all do 3?
No, I haven't done my
all right, go ahead.
third one yet.
All right, go ahead.
What was my third one? I better look here. Oh, yeah, they're not putting the woke away. Now, you could look at this from a different perspective and say it's beneficial for you to, wherever you are, Republican across the country, to differentiate. It makes it easier for you to differentiate yourself if the left is not putting the woke away. So that's maybe a positive perspective. But overall, wokeism, Marxism, cultural Marxism, it is a cancer on this society, and it is never a good thing when one political party, one political entity continues to double and triple and quadruple and quintuple and Google down on the woke. So that is just not a healthy thing. They keep trying to put it away. There are elements within the Democrat Party I see that keep trying to put it away, but they cannot put it away. It is a Frankenstein's monster.
Yep.
The old generation of Democrats, once they start moving out and dying off, the monster that they have created is not going to go away anytime soon. That's not healthy for the country.
Cults usually have to die out.
Yes.
Sometimes literally. All right, what was the not good story that just didn't make the cut for you guys, Todd?
It's a combination of, as good as, we are riding the high of January inauguration. But if you recall, New Year's Day, terrorism in New Orleans, and then we had the California fires, and we also had the D.C. Helicopter plane crash. I mean, it was looking a little like Book of Revelations there for a little while.
That's good. Well, bad, but good. All right, Jill, go ahead. Yours.
Elon and Trump feud. Make the besties friends again. I don't want to see the American party. I want to go through and see everybody get along here on the right. And you know what? I'm just as pissed about national debt as Elon is. But let's figure this out together.
Did you guys see who Elon is consulting about a third party movement?
Yeah.
one of the leaders in the
Dark Enlightenment.
Yeah.
And then he unfollowed him right after.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
In other words, he probably didn't hear what he wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I mean, that guy, from what I understand, that guy Yarvel's his name, right?
Yarvin.
He's like against democracy. He wants
He's
monarchy.
a monarchist.
Yeah. So that's probably. Yeah, probably some people got freaked out when Elon Musk was talking to a monarchist in a Nikolai Carpathia way, but then Elon's like, that's too far for even me. All right, let's get to our kicker topic. What's the craziest thing about 2025 real quick so far? Aaron.
Just, you can do things. You can just do things. It shouldn't be crazy.
Like give us names of who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked to. Just do that.
We can't just,
Could just do that. All right, Jill, craziest thing you can do so far?
I found a sitting congressman that asked me out on a date, and I figured out that he was married in the Al-Qaeda mosque by an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. And then you add stolen valor and the FBI and a ton of conservative women. And this story isn't over yet.
Mic drop.
Todd, do you want to just go ahead and yield your time to that? Do you have something? Go ahead. How are you going to top that?
I was going to say that weird Minnesota assassination states.
That's pretty close.
That's pretty weird.
Pretty close. Yeah. I'm preaching in Ugandan churches.
Yes.
And shooting Democrats at the order of Democrats. Yeah, that's a thing. All right. Forced prediction. What's going to be we got 2 minutes. What's the biggest story of the second half of the year? Forced prediction. Jill, go.
I think the violence on the left will continue. I think that's what we will all be talking about at the end of the year. Like, things have started to kind of ratchet up there, but hopefully everybody's talking about my story about Corey Mills. Let's be real.
All right, Todd, go.
Somebody in the cabinet resigns and it's not Pam Bondi.
Okay. Aaron?
I know this is not dramatic, it's not flashy, but I think in terms of overall importance, it will be the most important story to unfold over the rest of the year. Either the Supreme Court will convene on an emergency basis, or the Trump administration will just ignore the courts on a major issue.
I think you're right about that. One of those two things I think is going to happen. I'm going to predict it's going to be something involving Elon Musk. I just think he's got an itchy trigger finger. He's the richest man in the world. He's in control of the largest public information server in the history of the planet. I just think when you stir all those things together, it's either to be something he does or something that is done to him. I think will be the biggest story the second half of the year. All right, because he's got a trigger. His trigger finger it's itching to go off, and he's got the largest printing press this world has ever seen on top of it. So, Jill, always good to see you. Thank you again. All right, don't be a stranger.
It's great to see you. Maybe for 2026, maybe I'm going to need some, Netflix, Amazon reviews to figure out how to go through and build this story.
Somewhere, Paul Alexander is saying you should have said yes to me, and that whole thing with Corey Mills would have never happened. Just saying. All right, good to see you, Jill. We'll come back. It'll be Feedback Friday here in a moment. Stay tuned. Back here with Hour 2. Back here with Hour 2. Here on BlazeTV radio and podcast. I'm Steve Deace. I take my breath away. He's Todd Erzen. He's Aaron McIntire. That literally happened. You saw that.
I did.
I took my own breath away. What does that mean? Your thoughts? Best not to share?
Levels, Jerry. Levels.
I just took one look at myself, and it took my breath away. Let us know what you think about what we think. Steve@stevedeace.com is the email address. DEACE. Like us on Facebook, me, we, and Gab. You can follow me at Steve Deace Show on X, Instagram, and TikTok.
You're just nervous about the movie.
I am nervous about the movie.
You should be.
I am. I'm very nervous. I am. Like I used the analogy earlier this week. Okay, it's like growing up, waiting for college football season for 9 months. And
that's part of your problem.
You start.
Maybe try 1 month.
You start the year with Notre Dame every year, and then you get so excited, and then it gets to game week of week 1. You're like, crap, man, we might lose the very first game, and it was like 9 months of waiting for this. Okay,
you're so broken.
Yes, I admit it. Yes.
Just set yourself up for groin shots for no reason. None. Kick me in the jimmy. Why? You don't have to.
When I say why not, sir?
Todd, doesn't that mean that every time you come to work, you're setting yourself up for a groin shot by exposing yourself to Steve?
Hey, the check is clearing.
That's true.
He's got an excuse. He's getting paid to be this undignified. This is my natural state.
Oh, take my breath away. Great song, by the way.
All right, where were we? Subscribe to our new YouTube channel, please, at Deace Show on YouTube. That's at Deace Show on YouTube. And then also, if you love the podcast, thank you. You guys are the biggest part of our, I'm sure, dwindling now audience. You can like us, subscribe to us, please, or hit follow if you're on Apple iTunes. And that way you'll know for sure that every time we do one of these episodes that you may or may not want to listen to, it's for sure in your feed, in case you do. And you can also leave us a 5-star review. And thanks to all of you that have done those for us. We've had over tens of thousands of those across multiple platforms, and we appreciate them all. So thank you.
I think those last 3 minutes should be like one of our show promos. I mean, it's like, it's Costanza. I'm unemployed and I live with my parents. Who are you?
Indeed. What are you doing tonight?
Yes.
Indeed. Well, nothing. I mean, I'm same as last night. This part of the show is brought to you by our friends over at Beam. If there's something we all believe in around here, it's hard work, dedication, faith, family, freedom, self-reliance, all that kind of good stuff. But if you hit a wall, you're struggling with sleep, Beam could be there for you with their Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded here in America, run by people who share those same values as you when they use a blend of science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed, ready to go take on the day. Magnesium, melatonin, and more. I've used Beam several times. I've gotten rave results every single time. They've got lots of different flavors. I do the chocolate peanut butter. And I know what you're thinking. Hey, man, I do an intermittent fast. I'm counting carbs. Last thing I do is drink a bunch of hot cocoa before bed. It's not like that at all. All right. Won't disrupt your health regimen. I'm an intermittent faster as well. All right. So here's the deal. Beam is giving you guys the Ultimate Patriot discount right now, up to 40% off just to try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. If you go to Shop Beam, BEAMM, shopbeam.com/Steve. Use the code Steve at checkout. Shopbeam.com/Steve. Use the code Steve for up to 40% off at checkout so you can sleep better, wake up stronger, and show up ready to do your duty as a great American. Shopbeam.com. Code Steve. All right, you guys ready for some Feedback Friday?
Yes.
All right, let's start with Belinda. Aaron, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to start with Belinda. All right. Some reactions to, I want to start with some reactions to our Epstein conversation this week. All right. And, again, we get so many notes. I'll kind of pick a couple that are kind of the archetypes of the various responses we're getting. All right. So Belinda and then Patrick are kind of be those archetypes on both sides. Belinda says, love your show, but I think you guys are completely overreacting about Epstein. If X were MAGA, then 94% of MAGA wouldn't have approved of the Iran strike. You guys, I think, are just too online. The average MAGA voter doesn't care about Epstein. I say this as a faithful listener, watcher of your show, but you're just wrong. If the economy is humming and deportations are happening next year, the turnout for the midterms will be fine. The real base, not X, will not give Epstein a second thought. So what she's alluding to is what I'm a data guy. Okay. And so it was very clear for many years, much of my career, as much as I love X as an app, but we used to say really up until last year, X is not America, right? Fewer than 20%, up until last year, fewer than 20% of Americans had an active X account. Okay. And something like 2% of all those X accounts are actually who posts on X. So that X is not America, but it is still important, we would always say, because a lot of the media people, that is their primary source of receiving and distributing their information. So it's a place where the people who create the content that you'll see further down the food chain later often congregate, but in and of itself, it's just not representative of America. That's what we said for many years, right? Then we had Elon buy X. And then we had Elon get involved in this presidential election. And I think we all now also believe that without Elon's purchase of X and what he did in the last election, Trump probably does not win. We're not saying that he singularly won it, but on the list of the top 5 things that had to happen for Trump to win this last election, Elon buying X and what he did for Trump in the campaign is somewhere on that list of those top 5 things that had to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're kind of at a point that, well, maybe it's more directly influential now than we previously thought. Okay. Well, then what Belinda's talking about is we saw for the first time in this cycle massive bifurcation, meaning when you have 2 streams of thought that you think are symbiotic and coincide with one another, and then an event happens that clarifies they don't. And in fact, they bifurcate. They go off in their own directions, right? Because online, it did look like on X, there was a massive debate that went on the days leading up to, the day of, even a few days after, no matter how successful it was, the decision to strike Iran's nuclear program. I mean, it was throat slitting, brother against brother on X over this on our side, right? Okay. And then polls come out, which, to be fair, though, were taken after Trump did the strike, and so it was successful, okay? But polls came out and said that 94% of Republicans, that's what Belinda's referring to, were totally in favor of it. Now, let's factor in that the polls were done after the strike, and it was successful, so let's deduct a few points from that. And then let's deduct a few points for psychology, that yes, the Republicans want to back their guy when he makes a bold action. You see what I'm saying? Because of partisan alliance. Okay, so let's say let's be really over the top in how many points to deduct. It wouldn't be this many. Okay, but let's go way over the top and say that deducts 20 points from the 94. Right? You're still sitting around somewhere 74-75%. Right? So even if we took 20 points away from that poll number for the fact that it was done after the strikes were completed and successful, and given the fact that we're likely to rally around our general when he, battens down the hatches, right? Okay. If you deduct 20 points from that 94, you're still left with 74-75% within the Gen Pop, and the unity on X over this was nowhere near that, right? So that's what she's alluding to. I think she makes a good point. I don't have a counter, Belinda, because I don't know. You may be right. I don't know now. I was pretty confident for several years that X was not America, right? After this last election, I saw what X could really do, particularly with its founder motivated to follow up with action in the cutting of checks, okay? Now, I don't know. You may be right. You might be totally wrong, but I do think you have a good point worthy of considering. I just don't know whether I agree or disagree with it, because I think we're trying to figure that out right now. I don't know the answer. What do you guys think?
I also agree that this might be a political outcome that happens. The only part I take any issue with that, I think you said a MAGA that isn't on X doesn't really care about Epstein. That if I'm trying to be as close as possible, that to me is a problem, because they should. Underage girls were sex trafficked, and the elite leaders of the for the entertainment and pleasure of the elite leaders of the world, and that whole operation may have been set up from the beginning and or used once it was going by American intelligence and Israeli intelligence assets. If that happened, you should care deeply about that.
Yeah, this is something that I have considered a few times over this week, and this is why I said the other day that this will be something that, we'll be able to move on from it. But if they do something along these lines, again, whether it's something like on the economy or something like this, they're only going to get to make this mistake once. What mistake this is, not better communication or just a total cover-up, we don't really know the answer to that question. But it is something that I have considered a few times. I don't think it is up for debate that of his most ardent supporters, which he has to listen to, and he has a great track record of doing so, this is something that matters to them. Those are the ones that are probably more likely to be outspoken online. probably the ones who are spending a lot of time looking into learning about politics, news, current events, and things of that nature. So yeah, it's more pronounced online, but his most ardent supporters are there. His most ardent mouthpieces are there in terms of media. And you start to let some of your network of influencers down, and he's let some of them down this week, or at least the administration has, or the DOJ, or whoever you want to blame for that. He has made them look, they've been eating crow a lot. They've had to eat crow. And those are the real risks, I think, that you run. And I don't think that's really up for debate. So it might not be as popular of an issue out in the Gen Pop, but in terms of his most ardent and loyal supporters, it is a bigger issue. And that's why I think it's important.
Okay. Here's the other side of the argument. This is from Patrick. I don't think the White House's attempted redirection will work with Epstein. This issue transcends even the pitiful short-term memory of the current electorate. People are not going to let this go, and I don't think a single sacrifice offered up in place of Epstein will suffice either, even if it was a name as big as Hillary. The reason is people instinctively know there are probably at least 24 huge names caught up with the Epstein scandal that need to be exposed and punished, and I think the magnitude is just too large for a single sacrifice to suffice. To let the large number of high-profile people get away with what we all think they did with Epstein is just too much to let go. It's the combination of the quantity and the high-profileness of each person. The magnitude is just too great. It would prove to us all that you really can be rich and powerful enough to make anything go away and get away with anything, whatever you want. And in a practical sense, we already know that's true, but this is such an in-your-face and humiliating way for them to try and force us to accept it that people will never let this issue go. Everybody above maybe 30 years old right now will have to be dead before it fully goes away. Just my 2 cents. Keep up the good work. That's Patrick.
I totally disagree with that. As I just got done saying, people should care as deeply as you're talking about for a multitude of reasons. But COVID, transgenderism, right here in front of you. This isn't theoretical. People will Netflix and chill the worst possible things away. I just don't think you're in tune with the current human condition, and especially as our previous guest, if the economy is roaring out and there's a chicken in every pot and deportation, other things are happening, scalps are being taken elsewhere. No, you just don't have this one right. I wish you did, and I like the fact that your moral code clearly demands justice, but this just isn't true.
Aaron?
Yeah, if anything, it works in the opposite direction, I should say. I think people can use stories like this as an excuse to eject. Now, I don't know how many people like that there are, but I do think it's out there, looking for any excuse to pull back from engagement, to pull back from actually taking responsibility, to pull back, well, if I go to my school board, I'm just going to be undercut by the deep state globalists, the elites who can get away with anything. These types of stories can have that effect on people. So if anything, it might be the opposite of what's being articulated.
All right. I haven't entertained a lot of this kind of sentiment this year because, frankly, I just think the White House and the president's performance has been exemplary overall, and so not worthy of it. But since they're having a bad week, let's hear one of the haters out. Okay? All right. Timothy says, Trump hijacked, resurrected, and rebranded the Tea Party to build his original base. The foundation of MAGA America First are thinkers and oftentimes critical thinkers. The Tea Party was demonized and dismissed by both political parties. The Tea Party was assaulted by the IRS and the federal government. The Tea Party has been duped and shunned before and have not forgotten. Most Tea Party folks are Christians with a strong sense of good versus evil. Trump used the Tea Party to grow the MAGA movement. Many of the newbies are of the less thoughtful follower type. This is the useful idiot class of MAGA. MAGA is made up of at least 2 very different factions. In the short little while, Trump has encouraged Israel to attack Iran. Quickly it became obvious Israel was not going to end this quickly. Trump bombs the hell out of Iran to destroy their nuclear weapons and arsenal and capability. After allegedly destroying Iran's nuclear program, there was no detected radiation. Trump was thuggishly indignant when asked about it. Trump sends Pete and Marco out on the Sunday shows to pitch the narrative that the attack is definitely not about regime change. The same day Trump tweets regime change is not a politically correct topic, but it is probably a good idea. In Iowa on July 4th, Trump assaulted the no amnesty people as hard-right radicals. Perhaps Pam, Cash, and Dano are now stalking us. Then a reporter asks a good question of Bondi. Trump interrupts and thuggishly goes on his Epstein rant. The Tea Party people heard, what the hell are you going to do? What the hell are you doing asking about DC elites being investigated for banging 12-year-old girls? Being okay with old men banging 12-year-old girls is not good. Bill Gates' wife came close to saying that that's why she divorced Bill. A large portion of the high IQ faction of MAGA is quietly disengaging. They can play all their media cycle games they want. There are a bunch of us who voted for Trump 3 times who are not anti or pro-Trump. We are and will continue to quietly become Trump indifferent. I always vote, but I'm not voting in the midterms. Trump will largely be left with only the useful idiot faction of MAGA who will just go with whatever he says and does. This betrayal is way bigger than you think. That's Timothy.
He voted for Trump 3 times, though? But
yeah. But views this is the last straw that this is, he's not going to deliver. Yeah. He's not going to expose the evil. He's not going to prosecute it, etc.
Wow.
I don't think this individual is telling the truth. I don't think they voted for Trump 3 times.
Yeah, that's where I was.
Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say, okay, you want to die on this hill, that's fine. I mean, you keep thinking this is high school debate class. It's not about worshiping any one politician. It is your life. The things that he stopped just by being elected, and if you recall, Steve laid out multiple times. At the very least, while he was supporting DeSantis, Steve said, at the very least, I'm supporting Trump for the bump in the road theory or the road, just slow things down. But that happened, plus much more. On so many fronts, life is getting objectively better. We are only 1/8 of the way through this term. Hopefully it keeps going. But this is what you guys get. It's funny. You talk about the intellectual class running away. You've got your own fake intellectual class thing going, because I don't know what you mean by having this debate that is seemingly immune from actual results, and also being a guy who says he voted for him 3 times, but now this is the last straw. These months right here, Trump has been president now for 4.5 years. This is the best half of a year. I don't know what you're doing. What's your standard for anything, quite frankly?
Here is a clip I'm watching right now of Alan Dershowitz, who himself faced Epstein Island allegations, I think in the Netflix documentary about the Epstein Island victims that I watched. Okay, he was implicated in that, although he vehemently denies it and has threatened to sue anybody that tries to come forward and claim otherwise. All right. He was on Newsmax talking to Sean Spicer, saying that he has personally seen the names of the perpetrators and knows that there are names being purposely suppressed to protect several powerful individuals, but, quote, I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cannot disclose what I know. Thoughts?
Alan Dershowitz and people like him who would make the claim he just made.
He says they're politicians, they're business leaders, etc.
But he knows enough people. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon separation. If Alan really wants this information to come out and have plausible deniability, he can make it come out.
Didn't Dershowitz settle with Giuffre?
Well,
Virginia Giuffre.
Let's ask.
Pretty sure.
Let's ask.
Pretty sure. They settled.
Dershowitz.
He's denied the claims that she was trafficked to him when she was underage, but they settled.
Did Dershowitz settle on Epstein claims? I'll ask. Grok says yes. You're correct, Aaron. He settled a defamation lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre, one of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers, in November of 22. She had alleged that Epstein trafficked her to Dershowitz for sex between 2000 and 2002, which Dershowitz consistently denied. As part of the settlement, Jeffrey stated that she, quote, may have made a mistake in identifying Dershowitz, citing her youth and the traumatic environment at the time. The settlement involved no payment to either party, and both agreed to drop all claims and waive appeal rights. The That's not your typical settlement.
No, because I think there was a counter defamation suit.
Yes.
That Dershowitz had lost
against David Boaz. Of course, Aaron, Todd, and you and I are going to remember his name because he was one of the chief attorneys in the Florida recount for the Democrats. Okay, and David Boaz was her attorney. Dershowitz also settled a counter extortion lawsuit and defamation lawsuit against him. Yes. Good memory on you, Aaron. I did not know that. Yeah. I mean, just so you guys know, Dershowitz has been pitched to me as a guest multiple times. And because of the gray area here, I've just never accepted it. I just thought, I don't know the truth, and there's enough potential gray baggage here that there's other people I could bring on that have his area of expertise that don't come with that kind of baggage. Although I will say, in Dershowitz's defense, this is not your usual settlement. No money, and I may have been mistaken, is not your usual settlement. Okay. So, I would say, you know what, does a biblical worldview say, well, you know, Dershowitz would not be a biblical worldview guy, but the biblical worldview doesn't care whether you're a biblical worldviewer guy or not. It's the highest worldview on, you know, in the universe. Does he have an obligation? Is the higher law at play here? Let's look at this Nuremberg style, right? Is the higher law at play here that he has an obligation to come forward regardless of any kind of court order saying otherwise?
Yeah.
See, I kind of think it does. In fact, I don't kind of think it does. I'm pretty darn sure that it does. What do you think, Aaron?
Absolutely. And the people, I think, would be behind an action like that.
Let's switch gears. Well, you know what? No. One more on this topic. I've decided, okay? John Ewing says there are a couple of arguments, I think, of why the Epstein files are being held back. There may have been so many deep state congressmen and bureaucrats that the negotiation was to pass the big, beautiful bill in exchange for burying the list and all the evidence of the case. I don't want to believe that, but this may be a possibility. We've seen over the past decade negotiations like this with our president and COVID-19. Another reason is even darker. The deep state had threatened families and loved ones to bury the evidence. I would also hope that's not the case, but with recent items found out about our beloved CIA, I would not necessarily discount it. Love you. He had a lot of kind words about the show. So thank you, John Ewing, for that. What do you think?
Yeah, I've already said as much. Getting that approved, getting support amongst a fractured. You mentioned multiple shows, the two sides of the Iran bombing. Making sure support was rallied around that, and just. Listen, be as cynical as possible. You blow this thing up, creates World War III, or at least creates a situation where nothing can get done. And if you keep it close to your vest, not only do you not blow everything up, you actually make getting things done in the future potentially easier because you know you have blackmail and all these other kinds of people. So I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world. I have no idea with any degree of certitude if that's what happened, but it's plausible.
Yeah, it's plausible.
Can I ask a really uncomfortable question on a Friday?
Yes.
Are we comfortable with our side using leverage like that to get what we want?
Oh, like I said,
I'm asking.
My bottom line is to do what I just said with Dershowitz, no matter what the consequences are. These were sex-trafficked underage girls. I mean, it's heinous. I want the truth, but I do on multiple levels. I think the truth is also you can't handle the truth. This world is broken in so many fundamental ways.
Aaron, you okay?
Using the list as leverage. I do not think that that's biblical. I think it's plausible that that's what's happening here. I don't.
Isn't that what John is saying? We did. Our side did. Isn't that what he's saying?
He said it might have happened.
Yeah, that's his theory. Was it used to get this thing passed? Here's the thing. Would you, Aaron, consider it to be absolutely not biblical, or would it be determined by the amount of good that came out of the act? Meaning that is there enough good things in the big, beautiful bill that you do that? Would you do that to defund Planned Parenthood perpetually? Would you do it for that?
We don't do evil that good may come.
That's what I'm asking.
And I don't think this is an example of.
Yeah.
I think this is an example of trying to do evil so that good may come. God's economy is completely different than ours.
Yes, agreed.
And the trade-off is, ridding your country of invaders a good thing? Yes. Is economic and cutting taxes a good thing? Yes. But is denying justice to those who deserve it a good thing? No. And I think that's unquestionably orders of magnitude larger than whatever is in a singular bill.
There's one scenario I've worked through in my head, and it's the World War III, that the threads of this thing are like, think Archduke Ferdinand. That the connections within intelligence, Mossad, they spiderweb very quickly. Ukraine, Russia, one person you start, who's this guy? I've never heard of him before. Oh, but he's connected in all of this big deep state World Economic Forum. And so if the decision is made, as heinous as this was with Epstein, we cannot divulge this because literally odds are high we would have World War III. If that is established and you've made that decision, but then you have that list, and you're not going to release it because of World War III, but you have that list, and there's a couple shady characters around there, and you use that list to say, man, I know, and you know that I know. Now get your ass in line and vote that way. Well, that's a very gray and broken world once again, but I can see that as a hand being played potentially in that scenario. But that's when you've said you've already not going to release it because World War III is going to happen. And I don't think it's crazy we're doing. Steve, if we were doing hypotheticals, as you've said many times as a show, and this is an important point that you make all the time, if we would have been like, are we losing our minds here? Like, but I don't think we're doing our due diligence.
Like, I don't feel like crazy that we're even discussing this.
No,
I'm not saying I think that's what happened necessarily,
right.
But it's just not so outside my own personal Overton window that I'm like uncomfortable having this discussion on the air, which to me blows my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, but here we are. Yeah. Real quick. Let's say the moral calculation of the collateral damage you've been talking about all week is true. Could they have messaged that better this week? Than literally insulting their own base.
Absolutely.
And peeing in their face and telling them it's raining.
I'm with Aaron on that, and he's been saying that all week as well. It's true. That's, of course, true. But but the fact that it is so bad then turns around and makes me the question. You've just got to ask when your point, Steve. They've been great on messaging on so many other things. It can't be like accidental. It almost could they have been better? Yes, but their bottom line is they're just like, no. However we do it, we just need to make this go away. And we think it will because we're that great on other things. And there's a lot. You look at this from a lot of different angles, and none of them are comfortable.
And we have all week. That's why it's been uncomfortable. All right, we're going to switch gears on a Feedback Friday, get to your notes on other topics here when we come back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Show.
All right, back here on the Steve Deace Show in these unprecedented times.
Bing.
Make sure that you've got an agent that can help you guide through this new thing. Maybe you forgot what it used to be because it hasn't been around in many a year, called the real estate market. That's why it's been a few years since we've been talking about realestateagentsitrust.com. Not been much of a real estate market for agents to be agenting. But now there is again, because we're in the midst of making America great again, except when we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, apparently. All right, so if you want an agent that has a verified track record of success, and we're the ones that do the verifying here at realestateagentsitrust.com, and you want to make sure you get either across town, if that's where you got to go, across the country, and a lot of times that agent has the same value system you do. You're going to find them where the website says it all. Start your search at realestateagentsitrust.com, and there we'll connect you with an agent like what I just described and get you started so that you can get the finish that you're looking for with the win at realestateagentsitrust.com. Again, that's realestateagentsitrust.com. All right, let's switch gears here on a Feedback Friday. Margie says, I love the fact that you guys are talking about pumpkin spice and its health benefits. It improves, since it has cinnamon, it improves insulin sensitivity. It helps to lower blood sugar levels. It's loaded with antioxidants. And it may help with lots of other things based on animal studies they haven't yet finished out in humans. So keep eating that pumpkin spice and live long and prosper. Indeed.
That little Trek thing at the end was...
Did you like that?
The guarantee that was going to be read on the air.
Yes. But, see, I'm making an adult decision here, Erzen.
Yeah.
It's just not my prodigious sweet tooth. And and what do you say? That I've got a taste palate that didn't leave the 6th grade. Okay. That part's true, by the way. But now that I'm older, I know there are more reasons why I have an incurable attachment and connection to such glorious things as pumpkin spice. It's because now that I'm older, I recognize that my sweet tooth is all that was just drawing me to the broader health benefits that as a young child, when I first became exposed to this, I would not have cared about. I just would have cared about the taste. And now as an adult, when I was a child, I thought, spoke, and reasoned as a child. And now when I became a man, I set aside childish things. So I enjoy the taste, but what I really enjoy more than anything from pumpkin spice is the health benefit. I genuinely feel better. It improves my disposition as a human being. I'm in a better mood when I eat and consume pumpkin spice.
Speaking
that part is true.
Of disposition, you still nervous about the movie tonight?
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
You need more pumpkin spice, I think.
I do.
I'm trying to help.
I know. Do they have pumpkin spice seasoning for the popcorn maybe at the theater just to kind of calm me down, soothe me a little bit? Yes. Let's get to this one. My name is Michael Devitt. I'm a widowed father of 5 here in Iowa. I was raised by a self-appointed, self-stylized modern-day prophet. The joke I use is that I was raised in a small black box underneath the stairs in the back of the church. I started using that joke years before Harry Potter was a thing, just for the record. As such, I watched my dad get us kicked out of church after church. We would spend an hour every morning before school watching the Kenneth Copelands and Jesse Duplantises and Creflo Dollars of the world. And it helped me to develop a mistrust of authority figures and anger for life, and seeing firsthand the damage misuse of the phrase can do, frankly, with the fear of the words God told me and how people damage that and take advantage of it. I inherited arrogance and judgmentalism. I've struggled to accept spiritual authority from anyone in person. In short, I became a typical preacher's kid, holy on Sunday, carnal every other day of the week. Intellectually, I was first awakened by Rush Limbaugh. I could hear truth resonate in his words. I later found Glenn Beck, Dennis Prager, Mark Levin as well. After Rush passed, I searched for someone else like him. That is, until I found you guys. My wife passed in January of 2024, and I lost the center of my world. We were married 20 years. And at times, it wasn't the healthiest, but I will say it was successful till the end. And that's all you can ask for. That is all you can ask for. I was raised, do as you are told, and I married a woman who took control, yet resented me at times for not doing so. And that is when I found myself now alone at the age of 44. I had lost all direction. I never fully fell away from my faith, but I failed to ever fully commit either. Most recently, I've been unstable at work and had fallen into overnights at a gas station. Hey, the kids got to eat. I find myself drawn to your program and your discussions of the Bible. The point is, my life has been led in a somewhat fatalistic pattern. My father once said to me, just do as I say and you'll be fine. Even if you fail, it will be your fault. It will be my fault, not yours. I knew instantly that I hated that idea. But somehow, despite the man pointing his finger in my face and growling out a scowl of pure hatred with things like damn you to hell, I still became a follower, not a leader. The last year or so, I have listened to you guys and found the ring of truth that Rush had, and I am grateful. Though I must say that I'm beyond irritated. The saint-worshipping dirty Catholic has the gall to spout Southern Baptist fire and brimstone gospel truth. Like Todd, he's saying that tongue-in-cheek, okay? Like, seriously, dude, pick a lane. I write to you as random touched soul number 842,605 to add my voice to the chorus. Thank you guys for all you do. It means more than you know. That is sincerely Michael R. Devitt. So, Michael, first of all, thank you, brother, for the kind words. And I want to make sure I give you some encouragement to match what you've given us. All right? Let me start here. You have not fallen to overnights at a gas station. I mean, I think you are right where God needed you to get to and needed you to be to build you back up. Michael, I couldn't get a job at a gas station. True story. I tried to get a job as an assistant manager at the Quick Trip gas station, and I failed the managerial exam. Not even a slight embellishment. I couldn't remember how to multiply and divide fractions. I failed it. Okay? So, and look where I ended up. Which may not bode well of our peers, but that's...
Anywho,
moving on.
Not about me.
Yeah, indeed. All right, anyway. We're encouraging Michael now. It's about Michael, not us. Yes. You're doing one of the most manly things, man, that you could do. Whatever it lawfully takes for you to provide sacrificially for your kids. There's a lot of males out there that have what society deems as more glamorous, significant, successful jobs, positions, careers. They don't give a hoot about their kids. They're not willing to sacrifice for their kids whatsoever. In fact, they make their kids sacrifice for them. You are suffering the indignity of working overnights. Forget where it's at. That's a tough gig. So that your kids don't suffer. And a lot of other males out there that have more status maybe in the world's eyes than you, they wouldn't suffer their own next leisure pursuit, let alone suffer for their kids. So I want to make sure that you take that language. That's the devil talking, brother. Okay? When you open your mouth while you're doing a righteous thing, and that is whatever lawfully you can do to provide for your children as a widowed father. And then the next thing that comes out of your mouth, you're demeaning that. That's the devil, man. Cast that out. Cast that out. Peter's a fisherman. Blue collar, subsistence level wages. Same for Christ as a carpenter. Same for Paul as a tent maker. Get that out of your head. All right? That's number one. And number two, you are setting an example. And your willingness to do this. I mean, look at my own dad that I grew up with. I had and was subjected and exposed to way too much abusive behavior by Dave growing up. But Dave worked hard, Dave provided, and the example he set for me, even in and around that abuse, that work ethic, helped to mold me and the work ethic that I have today, and I'm thankful for that. So you're setting an example for your kids that they're going to remember. Look at what Dad was willing to do for us. That means that's what I've got to be willing to do for my kids and more. All of us with these jobs that are supposedly more significant and successful, like the ones we're blessed to have. And remember, my wife wants to write her autobiography one day titled, I Married a Guy in the Mailroom. We had no idea this is how this whole thing was going to end up. I'm one bad decision away from hoping I can get a job at a gas station. And we all are. And we need that humility as a reminder of that fact. So you are where you need to be for now, for God to build you back up. But do not blaspheme against the fact that you're doing what it takes to provide for your kids as a widowed husband. What is it? 4 kids, 5 kids? Don't do that. That's about the manliest thing you could possibly do. And you have to start somewhere. So I just wanted to say that to Michael before we moved on. You guys have any words of encouragement or wisdom for Michael at all?
Man, yours were outstanding. No, I think Steve normally does a good job, but I'll just share in it. I got the meaning of what you were saying, and I took it as a compliment, and I'm grateful. But heck, when I met my wife, got engaged after 6 months, moved to because of the first 7-8 months we were living in different states. And moved here. We had all the important conversations that, she knew and said she was attracted to the fact that I was, stood for things, believed in things, and was looking for that. But when you see it in practice, and sure enough, there, after I had, lived here, it wasn't even quite a year. And the first job I took, it was not a job I planned on keeping super long term, but it was a decent enough job. And somebody really pissed me off, and I told them so in some colorful terms. And lo and behold, instead of them just having it a one-on-one thing, which it should have been, they went and told on me, and I lost my job. And so I got to have that conversation with my wife. But you hold on to each other. In this case, you are holding on to your kids and to the memory and inspiration of your wife. And as long as you never lose sight of that and try to honor that in whatever way you can. And on some days, what you honor is going to be smaller than others, and it's going to, even though it might feel the most backbreaking to do that small thing, just keep honoring it. Why do we fall, Bruce? To get back up. And
Amen.
Just keep going.
Amen. And some of the brightest rays of light come from some of the bleakest stories or circumstances. And I'm sure working overnights that you work in darkness. It might seem pretty bleak or pretty dark to you, but man, you are doing what you need to do. You are doing what God has called you to do. For most people, I can't remember in what context I said this, but for most people, and let's just be honest, for everybody, the highest calling most people have is to be a husband and a father, and to raise up your children, your offspring, in the way that they should go. And part of that, big part of that as dad, is putting food on the table, as you just laid out there. So that's your circumstances. And I'm sorry about your upbringing, but man, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You are doing that. You're putting in the work, both literally and metaphorically. So helmet sticker to you, man.
Amen, both of you. James Harbin, MD, writes, hey, love you guys' show, and found you after Rush Past. Always a challenging and on-point discussion you guys offer. And I live in North Carolina. Tom Tillis has been more than a disappointment. And he's going to step aside. But currently, there's no one with the name recognition who could challenge Roy Cooper, the likely Democrat nominee and previous two-term governor for that Senate seat. What do you think about Lara Trump? She is from Wilmington and obviously has close ties to the president. Keep plugging along. Well, she has the right last name. I have no idea where she'd come down on the issues. That'd have to be vetted. But she has the right last name. Her dad just won the state. And by a little bit wider margin than what the polls were predicting on election night. And I think we all know that whatever resources the Trump White House has to bear to help in a midterm election, hers would be pretty close to number one on the list, we think, right? Mm-hmm. Amen? So whether she'd be a good senator or not, I don't know her at all, and I don't know enough about her at all. Okay, to say so. I will say, she was one of the people instrumental in helping oversee the messaging and organization for the Trump general election campaign. So she's got at least some of her feet wet politically. She's not a neophyte. Is she the one married to Eric?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because Eric, I believe, just my own personal opinion, I think Eric is being mentored into running for political office. I think I think you're going to see when Dad steps aside. I think Don Jr. is going to, they're going to basically take Dad, who's both the head of an empire and then, a politician, and kind of split those personas in two. And I think Eric will be the politician and Don Jr. will be the head of the empire. Just no inside word there. My just speculation. Watching the ecosystem. Notice Eric gave the keynote at the convention last year, and it was all very polished and policy based. Mm-hmm. Okay, so. I think she'd be a tremendously strong candidate. I think you guys would have to vet her on the issues to see how good of a senator she would be, but her candidate profile would be very strong.
Can I make a motion?
You bet.
Lara Trump taking that Senate seat alone for the poetic justice of Senator Tillis being replaced with a Trump, that's worth it.
Yeah.
Motion?
Yeah.
Well, I'll second that motion. And how about this motion? There's no possible way she could be worse than Tom Tillis.
Correct.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Right.
So, okay. That doesn't mean, maybe someone else runs, but maybe somebody else is running. I just don't know.
I think she is the only one who could beat Roy Cooper.
But she probably is, because the name ID and the White House would just empty out all the stops. I could see actually maybe some GOP Senate candidates in other states maybe hope she doesn't run because of what I just said, and said, hey, leave some chicks for the rest of us, bro. We're trying to win our seats too. All right, we cannot have Papa so focused on his daughter-in-law, winning this seat, that some of us maybe kind of get caught in the undertow. I could see some of that too. Interesting suggestion, though. I'd not heard that one. All right, we're about out of here. You guys have any final thoughts before we eject?
It's been fun as always, even on a rough week.
Even on a rough week, we still had some laughs. Hopefully next week is better. All right, bear with us for the next week or so as we're moving to the new studio location. We're going to do our best, though, to keep it going and original for you the whole time. Have a great weekend. Until then, Romans 8:28.